and get to hear your thoughts. Of course, just in a moment, we'll open up the phone lines and get to hear from you, Susan.
Yes. Well, I thank you so very much for having me here today, and not just to talk about the Stubbs Creek, but to awaken the consciousness of citizens having to do with a situation that has caused the loss of lives of so many Akwa Ibom sons and daughters, and their livelihood had been destroyed or jeopardized, and that's talking about the Stubbs Creek controversy. I want to make a request, Madam Speaker. You can say I'm breathing heavily.
Please don't breathe heavily.
Yes. I got back home almost about 11 to 12 midnight, and then my health is not quite okay. So certain things I was to research, I could not do it. This is a continuous conversation. I would love a situation whereby you bring me back again, and when we look into documents, we will put verbatim from available legal documents and something that borders on a panel of inquiry, and we'll also be able to see some things from the government side having to do with the Stubbs Creek Forest Reserve. Yesterday, I was able to just give us a bit of an intro to the fact that my organization, Open Forum, had a press conference where we spoke about the Stubbs Creek Forest Reserve. We also talked about a very terrible situation going on at Ikoro Kwadin in Kwadeni, where government did a water project, energy water project since 2011, massive thing, and was never handed over to the community and has never been in use, and the environmental crisis going on there because of the oil exploitation. We also talked about Orowanam issue where things are happening, and a number of things. Now, the issue that we need to deal with, like you played the tape, was it audio? You read from the
press statement.
The press
of the
statement.
government, yes.
In fact, I would have loved, because this should be like a workshop, I would have loved where maybe you recap some of those things, because certain persons may not have the knowledge
No problem
of what we are really going to deal with. So, because of how I like doing my things, to make it very elementary, I wouldn't mind if you have the excerpt, you can play it. You have you actually have the press release by government, which has altered whatsoever agitators to the Stubbs Creek were holding on to. Recall, Eket lays claim to the Stubbs Creek based on 1918 Privy Council judgment. The case actually started, I think, 1916, and by 1930, that Stubbs Creek was gazetted as a reserve, not taken away from people that won the case. That's why I'm saying I will have to be able to read from documents. I can do that now. And furthermore, there were crises that led to expanding the conversations. But at no point from the research I have been able to do with my organization did we come across where government changed the status of the Stubbs Creek Forest Reserve to become a government reservation area. If that had been done, it will give us an understanding of where the statement, like you read yesterday, paragraph 3 of the press statement by the Kwame State government dated 6 January 2026 says That's the title is Legal Status of Stubbs Creek Forest Reserve. Paragraph 3, and let me start from paragraph 2. Okay, let me start from paragraph 1. The government of Akwa Ibom State has noted recent publications circulating in the social media, in the social and conventional media by a group known as Eke People's Union concerning the ownership and legal status of land within the area known as Stubbs Creek Forest Reserve. The government would ordinarily not want to comment on this matter as there is a pending suit filed by the same group before a court of competent jurisdiction involving issues surrounding the Stubbs Creek Forest Reserve. It has, however, become necessary in the overriding public interest to correct serious misrepresentations made in the public space. And this is the big one. Paragraph 3. Contrary to claims being circulated, the historic litigation, the case of Ntiaro and Ipak versus Ibok Etogokwan and Edoweka, culminating in the 1918 decision of the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council, did not vest ownership of Stubbs Creek land in any ethnic group or community. Note that the final judgment merely dismissed the claims before the court and granted title to no party whatsoever. Any assertion to the contrary is false, misleading, and a distortion of the judicial record. I promised yesterday that I was going to reach out to the government of Akwa Ibom State, and I also reach out to the main agitators, Eket people, to see if we can assess the record, the Privy Council judgment. I did send a message to the Attorney General who signed this. This press release was signed by Uko Esenudun San, Honorable Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. A man I respect, much respect. I've been communicating with him on other issues because bring ideas to the table. I sent a message and appeal to him that this is the information we need based on the release of government, because we are working on how we can help His Excellency to have this matter resolved. We don't take sides in issues. It does not matter who is right or who is wrong. What matters is justice. And where the person that is supposed to be a mediator or the final arbiter of a decision becomes an interested party, then you have to look for an external, competent external person or institution to intervene. And that is why when we had the press conference, our advocacy, which I said yesterday, is that since the governor himself has been accused by AK People's Union of not doing the needful, because the main allegation is that the Stubbs Creek forest has been partitioned, sold to individuals, and then sold to companies, not really first under the administration of Pastor Moina, but started under Deacon Udom Emmanuel's administration when Wa was brought in. Other companies have come in. And then you add the latest dimension of the coastal highway. So the challenge now is, since Eket people do not have confidence that His Excellency the Governor can handle this matter, we have advocated that the Akwa Ibom Elders Council, headed by His Excellency the overall father of modern Akwa Ibom, should be the one to oversee this thing. Maybe not necessarily as a Obon Victor Tar, but as a chairman. And then, since a number of the members of that council may have whatever interest in the matter, you just select people, then co-opt patriots, not partisan politicians, because a number of persons who should be able to solve this matter are so partisan that it is what matters to them may be the office they hold, and the fact that the Napoleon is always right mentality, where this the governor's body language, don't go against so and all of that. We need a high-powered think tank, but to be headed by His Excellency Architect Victor Ota. And what would that committee do? What would that think tank do? What would that mediatory team do? Our recommendation is that they are to sit for a period and ask agitators to the ownership of the land to come with whatever documents. And those documents includes the issue of Privy Council. Those documents includes whatever Ibno has that they can bring, because Ibno clearly said not too long ago, in fact last year, that they own the Stubbs Creek forest, that Eket are liars. They really went to the extent of indicting the judge that gave the judgment, which means the judgment that is available, which is seen by Ibno, are given the land to Eket. That is why they are against how that judgment was given. And this goes at variance with what government has said in this latest press release, that the Stubbs Creek, the judgment, dismissed the claims before the court and granted title to no party whatsoever. I'm privileged to have a copy of the Privy Council judgment, but permit me not to read it today, because I still want to see what I can get from government, because Ukodum SAN has not responded yet, and he's the authority when it comes to this matter. But be that as it may, the issue now is the Stubbs Creek only about Eket or an Ibno? The answer will be no, because I have gone to Oro Nation to ask some persons who have insight, and they have told me the Stubbs Creek, Mbu has a portion, Esreke has a portion, Ibno has a portion, Eket has a portion. So these are to be defined. Where are the boundaries? And then, what will be one of the most striking things we will need to see? That, okay, like the governor said, this judgment is long ago. If you had wanted to do something, you want to go and live in the past and all of that, you go and live in the past, things have changed. And when you look at the text of the president talking about legal status, anything legal will be difficult to dismiss. And in this vein, this is an insight to one of the information that I have gotten. I wouldn't want to read verbatim today, because I need to be careful to take down the notes and then to be very concise. But, Madam Speaker, you may be hearing this for the first time. Are you aware that Mobile Producing Nigeria was constructed within the Stubbs Creek Forest Reserve? And for that to have happened, there was an application for the reserve to be excused, as in there's a particular term. Yeah, you lit that portion. A clear portion of land that was requested was removed. Yes. And that was how Mobile was built. And do you know who they paid the compensations to? The compensation for the land.
What was it paid to?
Was paid to a group of villages, which is said to be in Eket. When Mobile was to do expansion of the QIT terminal, another round of getting approval to excise more part of the forest reserve, it had to be gazetted. Clear dimension. And the compensation, I understand, there was an uproar, because even a complaint that the compensation should be paid to them. But from available information, the compensation for the additional portion of land for Mobile in the forest reserve was still paid to the Edo group of villages. And a government letter on payment of compensation to a group of villages. This is dated 17 February 1998. Office of the Commissioner, Minister of Agriculture, and written to His Excellency the Military Administrator then. Like I said, I don't want to read today, but the header was payment of compensation to a group of villages. And the approval was given. And in another letter dated 9th March 1998, as recent as that, another letter, payment of compensation to a group of villages from Government of Akwa Ibom State, Office of the Military Administrator. Maybe this one is brief enough. Please permit me to take this one. Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Agriculture, Natural Resources and Rural Development, Block 1, Secretariat Complex, Uyo, payment of compensation to a group of villages. I am directed to refer to your letter, of February 17, 1998. That was the one I said earlier. On the above subject matter, and to convey to you His Excellency the Military Administrator's approval for payment of the amount is here in millions to a group of villages through the name of the person in the chambers was also mentioned, and a copy of this Excellency's approval is attached there for guidance. The approval for that payment of compensation, and that is as recent as 1998. So what we should be looking at is between that time and now, when did the Akwa Ibom State government take over the ownership of the Stubbs Creek, not as a forest reserve again, but as a government reservation area? This is where the crux of the matter is, and my fear has always been, having worked closely with certain persons and know how aides deal with their bosses. The Napoleon is always right mentality will never allow a number of leaders to succeed, because their aides may never be able to tell them, oh, Your Excellency, there was this. Secondly, a number of people lack institutional knowledge. Apart from the timidity and the manipulation they have to manipulate themselves so that they don't stand up to say, what is the yes and all of that. So, these are some of the questions we will ask. When was the Stubbs Creek Forest Reserve converted? Because that cannot be done by words of mouth. It's a legal issue, to a government reservation area where the government can use the land, and through the Ministry of Lands and Lands, apportion the reserve, sell to individuals, and also sell to companies. And this is what led Eket in the instance, because people has not complained about payment of compensation. So I am going to reach out, because I have had the honor and the singular privilege of sitting with the paramount ruler of Ibno a few years ago when we worked on the what do you call that, National Water Resources Bill, very obnoxious policy that the federal government under Buhari's regime wanted to enact. And I had to meet all the paramount's of the state who signed the communique from our organization Open Forum. And I had audience in a very reserved place of the paramount ruler of Ibno, His Royal Majesty Owong Achanga. Now, I'm going to reach out to the paramount ruler. We'll possibly send somebody who will be able to help us make sense of the position of Ibno people, because even their stance has now been nullified by the state government's press release that nobody, no local government, no a tribe or ethnic nationality owns Stubbs Creek. This is strange. That's my fear, and because it is not easy for certain persons to undo what they have done, it now requires people with courage, patriotic people who must not just want to be politically correct, to say the truth. I'm not siding even on, God forbid. I'm gathering documents. That's why I refuse to read some of these things today. But by next coming, we'll be reading things from maybe 1918, like what I've just read, 1998, because what will have given Eket people the audacity to demand for compensation if they have never ever gotten compensation before? And why should people like Chief Nwe lack institutional knowledge not to know that government had taken over Stubbs Creek? It doesn't belong to Eket, but they are insisting. Why would the paramount of Eket, one of the most brilliant human beings walking this earth, is over 80 something, lack institutional knowledge? Remember, he also signed a statement over the Stubbs Creek. So when we governor, in fact, Madam Speaker, the people must follow us in this conversation. If you have the audio, please play it so that we analyze things based on, we analyze this issue based on what His Excellency has said and what is the government's position, so that we don't, nobody gets mixed up anywhere.
Okay.
Yes.
So there are a few things I'd actually like to find out, to put out there.
Yeah.
Now, under Volume 3, Cap 52 of the Laws of Akwa Ibom State 2022,
Yes,
a law which was enacted specifically for the preservation and control of forests in Akwa Ibom State, the government of Akwa Ibom State does possess the power to de-reserve part of the forest land.
that system also.
However, that is not absolute. They cannot just, up and do that.
Yes.
Now, Section 21 of the law stipulates that the de-reservation must be formalized through a notice published in the official gazette by the Commissioner for Agriculture only from the date specified in such a gazetted copy can the process of that information begin. Alright, just in a moment we'll do some housekeeping, pay some dues, and when we return I'll just head on from there and pick up the conversation, because I have quite a number of questions that I want to ask, especially when we're looking at the fact that it's not just a local government that is designated as pathway to the Stubbs Creek. So what's this conversation? And this morning we are talking about the Stubbs Creek saga between the Akwa Ibom State government and the Eket Nation. And we're just trying to put up the facts of the conversation out there and allow the citizens of Akwa Ibom State to be brought up to speed. Now, you remember that the Akwa Ibom State government did release a press statement on the 6th of January, which we have read on the 4th of January, stating clearly what their stand on that particular issue is. This morning, we're bringing you different sides of the conversation, the Eket side of the conversation, the ecological and environmental side of the conversation, and we'll just put a few things straight, and then we'll be able to take calls, your questions, your contributions, your thoughts on these issues. Just before we had to go do business, I was talking about certain stipulations as to how and when a reserved forest, a reserved land, anything reserved under the law can be de-reserved. There are stipulations and there are laws surrounding these kinds of moves, and the Stubbs Creek is not different from that. Now, Section 21 of the Volume 3, Cap 52 of the Laws of Akwa Ibom State 2022 stipulates that de-reservation must be formalized through a notice published in the official gazette by the Commissioner for Agriculture. Only from the date specified in such a gazetted notice can that part of the land be legally, legally cease to be part of a forest reserve. So the bone of contention is not necessarily whether or not the Akwa Ibom State government can make this move or not. Part of the questions raised and concerns raised by the Eket Nation is, has due process been followed? Has due process been followed, in trying to achieve this de-reservation? And then again, let me go to something that is very, very important. Now, citizens must also realize that this Stubbs Creek is one of Nigeria's largest remaining forests, which is crucial for biodiversity, but of course has been severely threatened by different things. So it's not just Akwa Ibom in question here. one of Nigeria's largest remaining forests, which has a number of things which are currently endangered species. So if we would move to the reserve the Stubbs Creek forest to the ratio at which it will be for a coastal highway, then maybe some people would have concerns. Okay, so let me also go to the fact that my other concern was who and who are those listed in the areas as co-owners of surrounding areas around the Stubbs Creek. Okay, now, the Stubbs Creek Forest Reserve was not preserved as a protected area for the fun of it. It is protected. The protected status dates back nearly a century. You're looking at somewhere in 1920, in the 1920s. Yeah, colonial authorities identified the area spanning present-day Eket, present-day Esreket, Ibono, Mbo local government areas as one of southern Nigeria's richest biodiversity hotspots. So we have literally 4 local governments that can lay claim to that ownership. So I'm doing that in quotation now of the Stubbs Creek. Okay, so these are the 2 things I wanted to put out of the way. The local governments that co-own a heritage with the Stubbs Creek, and where the state government stands in terms of dereservation. So the other accusation is that the Akwa Ibom state government has not followed due process in dereserving the Stubbs Creek. More like the governor just came out and said, against all odds, it doesn't matter what you people think, we're going to go ahead and support the federal government to build a coastal highway through that path.
I thank you for that perspective. And actually, we must give credit to Akemede Simon, an award-winning investigative journalist, and the kind of things that we are doing on our part, try to source for documents, meet the people that are concerned, and which I would get the impression, Eket person is not here. Nobody is speaking for Eket here. I am from the civil society community. I don't represent Eket. I don't represent Ibno. I don't represent the Akwa Ibom state government. I represent Akwa Ibom people and humanity. Where I am wrong, I am open to be corrected. That's why we have to face the truth without fear or favor. Akemede Simon's investigative report and the fact that he has spoken with government people, including the Commissioner for Agriculture, also the Attorney General, and Commissioner for Information, none of them has any document to show that term I was looking for. You gave it to me. De-reserve. There must be a de-reservation of any portion of the Stubbs Creek at any point. That was a tradition. Remember, I cited the case of Mobil producing Nigeria Unlimited, called Exxon Mobil. The 2 times they needed land. Portions of the Stubbs Creek were de-reserved. Unfortunately, under the administration of immediate past Governor Dim Emmanuel, when Boa came, government went straight to the land to apportion it. And remember, last year when it was controversy that is land racketeering, which government said there was land racketeering in Akwa Ibom State, the certificate of occupancy from, was it 2015?
2023.
Yes. Yeah, 2023 were not suspended. And Eket people were very loud when they said, "Thank you, Your Excellency, you have done well." Yes, the certificate of occupancy given to people who, according to Eket people, have committed the largest, I wish I can get that term, yes, the largest organized criminal confiscation of Eket ancestral land in history. This was documented in their, I don't even call that petition, appreciation of the governor for what he did, because they were hoping that those certificate of occupancies would be revoked because they did not meet the stipulated processes. There was no de-reserving. No, the portion is not even known, and people are set that they are saying that the land that being sold, that the money is gotten are not paid. Allegedly, I'm not aware, but we'll find that out. The monies of the land sold at Stubbs Creek over the years, were they paid into the state treasury? The evidence will have to be seen. It will reflect in previous reports and all of that. And so there is at no time, including the the Coastal Highway. I corrected the impression yesterday while I was here, because certain commentators in their own press statements have accused Dr. Umar Baseno that he sold the Coastal Highway to the Senate President for a second term. That the Coastal Highway is going to pass through a synonym and no longer the coastal community. But from our investigation, we're able to confirm that the Coastal Highway is going to pass through the Stubbs Creek. And I got the routes right from Calabar to Eastern Obolo, which means the Stubbs Creek is going to be impacted again. And guess what? I think it's still in this report, a Williams report. Are people aware that there's a super highway that is to lead to the Bomdip Seaport at Unyere, where the government says that is to be the deep seaport point? That's still a controversy by itself. A super highway has been cut through since 2022 without de-reserving, and with this coastal highway without EIA, like we are even heard from Lagos to wherever it is, no environmental impact assessment. Is a very big challenge. That is why our additional advocacy is that Nigeria Conservation Society, I think that's what it's called, they have a state chairman, I think Dr. Uwemokun, if I'm not wrong. He did an article not too long ago where I had access to it. They should be invited. You cannot do something that requires expertise, professionals, and politicians are the ones taking decision. So it's so technical that if the construction, because I'm not aware the construction has started yet on the superhighway at the Stubbs Creek, there is a particular thing I want to clear. The earlier information I had was that even American people did not write to Federal Ministry of Works to stop, not to come. But the archiving emptor is something that anybody who feels is entitled to a land, you know, when a mouse in a ye kick out, you look for the the carving emptor has no restrictive or barrier to government from doing what they're supposed to do legally, but it is an alarm. And my personal philosophy is never stop somebody who's a victim from crying. It will bother on witchcraft sin. So the advisors, the aides to His Excellency will have to do more than what they are doing as we speak. And people with institutional knowledge who are not parties to these things, the civil society, the media, should dig deep and make this information available to His Excellency. I believe he's a man that can say, I was misinformed. Nothing gives a leader the kind of authority that being able to say, I wasn't well briefed. Look at Mr. President was to decorate his ADC with Brigadier General rank after a few months, after giving the person colonel. And military and media told him, this, you are going to destroy the Nigerian military completely. On the day of, I think it was on the day of the decoration, when guests started coming, they suspended, they cancelled it, and it would never happen. That is leadership. So as we speak, my organization, we're going to send a letter to His Excellency. Your Excellency, please, these are the facts we have gathered. We are patriots. Do you know what?
So let's just open up the phone line so that others can be a part of the conversation. 0806-804-5443. 0806-804-5443. You can also head on to WhatsApp and send us a message on 0902-223-1011. You can call us on 0902-223-1011. And let's take your calls. And now quite a number of things that we are concerned about. The first question would be, must the superhighway or the coastal highway, which are two different things, must they pass through the Stubbs Creek? Is there no possibility of adjoining mass reliance that can be used to divert that journey instead of affecting an ecological reason, which is for the best in general overall best interest of our client.
Yeah.
Now, let me put something out here from that particular investigative journal, article that we have. The project, and I quote, has been duly registered with the ministry, that's Federal Ministry of Environment, and the EIA process is commencing January 12, 2026. We will bring awareness to the host community starting Monday, the 12th of January. Failure of an environmental impact, end of quote, I beg your pardon. Now, failure of an environmental impact assessment to be in place before the approval to the federal government to come and, build the coastal highway passing the creek stop is what is raising the number of questions we're asking around the science the state government gave consideration to before approving the project at the fragile biodiversity.
Yeah.
I don't think the fight here is necessarily whether you can come build the coastal highway or not. The question is, did you follow due process? One of the due process would be an environmental assessment that will tell you whether or not this is a good idea. Let's take this and we'll get to it. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Madam Speaker.
Good morning, parliamentarian.
Good morning.
Morning. Hello?
You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Please, your name and where you're calling from.
I'm local government to be precise.
From what local government? Come again.
I'm from the
Oh, okay.
I respect the governor. He has been a visiting governor. And it gets right from time, even when he was not a governor. So, it do not allow the advisor to take him or to cause him to overdo things. Because any decision taken out of annoyance is not a good one. He should call the Eke people, I help with them as a father, and he should remember that they have been his landlord right from when he was not a governor. So please, he should not allow his advisor to advise him and to force him to do things that at the end of the day, he won't avoid himself, will regret. I plead with him, not that we know that there is no circumstances where a terrorism factor, but he should not throw the baby with the bathing water. That is my take home. Please, if you call the Eke people that have good brains there, even the father now, I'm told, is a little, in fact, the father, he knows what to do. Please, there is no circumstances again without a terrorism factor.
All right.
People, and then they talk, we have a round table talk, and then iron everything now, so that appointment will continue to happen. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Amen. Thank you so much for your call this morning. And of course, he's soliciting to the governor to temper justice with mercy. He's saying, let's not override the room for negotiation and for us to look at all sides to this particular conversation that we're having. All right, citizen, go ahead.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the last caller. Tempering justice with mercy has to do with what the person that is saying is a victim is not even actually the victim. This is more than that, because we are dealing with a situation like you have read from that investigative report, which I also expect the government to do a press statement to address what Akemini Simon of the Mail newspaper has done. And if that is not done, well, even if it's done, it may even raise further issues. No EIA on Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway is not peculiar to Akwa Ibom. It was raised at national. It's an ad hoc arrangement, and their work is going on, yes, but it has never met the processes. In the Akwa Ibom sector, you've asked, can't this road be veered away from the coastal community, or from the
away from the
reserve?
Yes,
it is possible, but what is more important for us? We can kill two birds with one stone. There is no way that Ibom or Ibaka deep sea port will be built without impact on the Stubbs Creek.
Okay.
Because the business is going to be so huge. So government must be so disciplined to come out with the de-reserved gazette of whatever had existed to be able to stop the kind of development that is going to consume that place. What people did 100 years ago is being destroyed at the time we are supposed to have more understanding. From available information, government has never taken over the Stubbs Creek, any portion of it, whether Eket portion or even a portion and all of Igbo or Eket portion, to say it is now a government reservation area. So government does not have that kind of authority that people are trying to paint. Two, the last caller talked about interface with Eket people. Madam Speaker, are you aware that as we speak, the security agencies have invited the leadership of Eket People's Union, Dr. Samuel Udonsa, President General, and Honorable Barrister Basidana Bia Jr. have been invited in writing to appear. I think the date is today, that there's a serious allegations against them. And what's that allegation? His Excellency has said, when he commissioned the health center in Redwood, that these people are doing like terrorists. And government was actually going to act with the force of nature. And nature opposes vacuum. Nature is true justice. And so whatever it will take to correct the race on the wrong road. There's a song on Africa that I used to love that song. I think it was by Don Williams. There's no use running while on the wrong road. So we are looking at a situation where we may be running on the wrong road, giving very honorable persons a toga of terrorists, whereas the owners of terrorists who are making security budgets in Nigeria to be higher than any other sector are defending the real terrorists. I want to appeal to His Excellency. Please, you are a father. More so, you have a title as a pastor who runs a congregation. Recently, the same Udonsa was the spokesperson for the Libyan people and the Bible people have to do with state creation. Today, a petition that has maybe born out of the leveling of him being a terrorist. And guess what? It will mean that the paramount of Eket is a terrorist. Chief Honorable Chief Honorable Chief Louis and others are terrorists. Why? Because these petitions, they are the signatories.
All right. Hello, good morning.
This matter is presently a matter of Lagos. Which means this matter right now is sub-judice. Why is the state government, including the people of Eket, and even this other program that is ongoing right now, discuss this matter that is sub-judice? Are we not going to get a transition? Please let the court decide this case. Because the matter is in court. Let us wait for the court judgment before we know what to say. Thank you. Please do that from South Africa.
All right.
Let me quick response to that.
All right.
His Excellency spoke in public a few days ago. The strongest statement ever made. In October, we did, as Open Forum, we did a press statement appealing that this matter should be settled. Nothing was done because we were looking at the silence. And then followed up with a press release. Courts cannot do everything. If you know the number of cases that are in court, if you know the number of cases that have even been won, these victims have won and they cannot even get justice. You want to talk about court? Alternative dispute resolution is the way to go. And like I've been saying, Akwa Ibom State lacks ability to resolve conflict. We must rise above that. Don't put this thing on the court. Okay, the matter that was said to have been judged in court, which includes the Supreme Court of Nigeria, which by the grace of God have been able to access the document now, so it is not going to honor anything that was done in court. that maybe we go back to that era. What will you say about that? So please, this is not time to be politically correct, because we must look for justice and remain for who we are as brothers in our Bible state.
All right. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, no problem. My name is Akemi Niwamba. I've been listening to hear where we bring the actual honor of the land into the whole discussion that I've not heard. Whoever is concerned trying to struggle on landed property, if it doesn't recognize that the honor, the creator of heaven and earth is the honor, not any individual. And I've mentioned before now that God gave us a pastor to be our governor, not to bring his denomination into our Bible, but for all of us to take note that God has so much love us in our Bible. After I became a pastor, not for us to come and then do church organization, to give honor and recognize. And it's the honor of everything, including us in the earth with the Lord, and the fullness of the Spirit. So not anything from it or from it to where you try to claim that thing belongs to me, I have every right. So that's the problem we want to get to. What is the will of God for us and the people? What does God want to do with us? That's why I played that program good enough is been playing for many years now. That's why I played that program good enough is been playing for many years now. So that we know only one person we have to celebrate. 24th of September, how many people are celebrating him? Jesus my Christ. During the time of Christmas, I'm thinking in fact some studio will allocate at least 1 week to celebrate Jesus like a bit. No.
All right,
They
thank
were
you.
after different programs, and it's a shame.
Thank you.
Now, God has visited that Bible before now. If God has used me to collapse everything around the world to be swallowed in that
Thank you
Bible.
very much, Akemi Obamabasi. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Madam Speaker, I want to just make a comment about what Akemi Obamabasi has said. There are levels where we abdicate our responsibilities and we want to blackmail God. God is in this matter. That's why you find voices who are informed, who are non-partisan, speaking up. We are standing in the gap. God always looks for people to stand in the gap. That's why we've had people who want to hide behind God and they lie. Even Satan gets afraid that this person is also a Kanemo and all of that. So it is God. For me to even do this, and the way I'm even talking, my health needs attention. A number of issues. I do the work of 3 to 5 people every day of my life. Those that don't know it, what I'm talking about. But because we must help leaders. Why? Vulnerable persons must have a voice. And we have discovered that it is not only women, children, the physically challenged that are vulnerable. Leaders are vulnerable when you don't have people that can give you information or have the capacity to tell you the truth, even if you sack him or her. That's where you have a problem. So, God is in this business. That's why we are having a voice like this, because I am a messenger.
All right, let's take more calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Madam Speaker. Good morning.
Morning. I can hear you. I can hear you. Good morning. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Now, that's not me. I'm hearing you. Please, Madam Speaker, I deal with him without me alone. Please, I want to say something for issue where is the headline today, even yesterday and day before yesterday. That issue is in a trend. Even if you get Android phone, all the letters will end for your Jonathan. And my name is Chukudi. God, they may have come for your road. I'm from state. See, I want this Fubara and the weak issue. The thing that in the union, I don't know whether this is Fubara and the weak. That them the good of this our nation, or them want to use their own power and their own money. I don't know how to put it. To use week. You understand? Well, everybody talk about football and the week. So that even radio, that's what I said, this radio, whether a position radio or just now people want to get entertainment like us when the listener for radio. That's why they defend me so much. Please, remember they give us latest what will happen for Nigeria like this. You know the same go one use one person. You know over everywhere.
No problem. Now make we know they talk about Fubara week this morning.
Because what do we need for this our Nigeria we don't know the prosperity.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyway, if you dey listen to us well, you go know say we sef no dey talk about football and week right now. Yes, it's an overwhelming conversation that is literally everywhere. And if you're not careful, you actually forget some of the very important things that are happening around us. Yes, we share the same sentiments, but like Citizen Matthew O'Connor said, that's a matter that supposedly was resolved by the Supreme Court just recently, and the problem is sprouting fresh like it was never handled. So if we all keep shying away, these things keep, raising their ugly head. All right, hello, good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning. Comrade, I can hear you.
Yeah, good morning, Madam Speaker.
Speak to us.
Good morning. This is Right Comrade Chris.
All right, go ahead.
Madam Speaker, let me start by saying AK people are not terrorists. We don't think, and I don't think that AK people have terrorized the peaceful nature of Akwa Ibom State ever. So the comments being attacking AK as a terrorist group is very wrong. We are not terrorists in any way. But what we are looking for, we don't stop coastal highway in a forest reserve, in our forest reserve. But what we are looking for is a due process. Look, our forebearers went to Privy Council to get sick for that judgment, and they prayed from AK to by leg, they break. Just look at the distance, they labored, those people labored just to have that court judgment. And yet, we could not honor the judgment. If you want to make coastal highway, why don't you meet the normal procedure, do the normal thing, and get this thing done? And we are not terrorists in any form, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prince Sapaniche. He's saying the Eke people are not terrorists. We must be able to air our grievances about issues and be able to also amicably resolve them. Now, I want to go to a part of this conversation that is important. Apart from the legal tender, the Privy Council and all of that, let's look at the environmental and ecological impact of routing the coastal highway through the creek stop. I think that's something we really need to pay attention to. Now, we are spending billions of dollars every year to travel to the different parts of the world, and we are organizing COP30, COP29, COP32, and we are talking about issues that started out from matters like this. Okay? So if we would cause problems so that we can have a conference in 2050 and talk about how deforestation and other matters led us to having an ecosystem fallout. You're talking about coastal landmark here. So you're talking about the propensity for Akwa Ibom to experience more flooding and other ecological problems if we keep breaking the boundaries that nature gave us as a people. So I think these are critical conversations that we should have environmentalists throw their weight behind. It's not just about the political or the government side of this conversation. What is ethically right for us to do to our environment? Man keeps fighting the environment that they live in and hope that somehow, this environment will be able to fight for us in the day of need. Okay, hello, good morning.
Good morning, Madam Speaker.
Good morning, Parliamentary.
Good morning, good morning, Madam Parliamentary. Happy New Year to everyone. It's a pleasure joining you on today's plenary.
Thank you.
Well, I think it is very necessary that issues of this coastal highway is made for environmental impact assessment. I think it is one of the priorities or one of the necessary guidelines
so that we will have safe environment where we have coastal highway. So anybody or any government, whether it is federal government, state government that is responsible to do this, should do that. And I also call for peace in the state, in the relationship between the government, the people of the state, the state government, there should be peace. We should not try to find impacts of enmity. We should try to resolve these issues amicably. So those that are responsible for this should take the lead. The government of the state should meet with the people so that issues that should be ironed out should be ironed out. Also, on our river issue, I think it is necessary at this point in time for the president to wake in and call again to order. I'm telling you the truth. Because it cannot be going right in the meeting with the sitting governor. If man has been humble and has not a problem with him, and the meeting becomes crazy, I think he should be cautious and comrade in the
Thank you so much, Comrade in MSA. Thank you so much. Okay, so Susan, let's look at the environmental side of this conversation.
Yes.
Like we've already said, about over 50% as we stand in the last research that I did, over 55% of the Stubbs Creek has been invaded in the last 20 years alone. That leaves us with about 45% for us to do whatever we like.
Yes.
You take coastal highway, you take super highway, what is remaining from that? Now you also have to know that we have some endangered species of animals and other things.
Absolutely.
that ecological hotspot gives us.
Yes.
If we take all of that out, once again, let's go back to history, go back to heritage, go back to culture, go back to who we are as Africans. Even when we are talking development, it has to be routed. Yes, it has to be routed along the lines of this reality.
Absolutely. The truth is that a leadership, or what we are supposed to call leadership, has been lost. What we have are politicians who, by virtue of the fact that politics is the most well-paying game, it's not longer for service, it's for self-aggrandizement, and people are unable to separate politics from governance, partisan politics in particular from governance. Governance would never have allowed the administration of former Governor Bim Emmanuel to be about the first governor of Akwa Ibom State to de-reserve that forest reserve without being gazetted, without the space being measured, and without the kind of letter I read to you on the payment of compensation for that was de-reserved for the building of mobile and the extension of mobile facility that is there. Now, it's been so fragmented, and the impunity that made Pastor Moino to be so angry to sack his SA on land matters, move the commissioner to another ministry, which people were saying that the commissioner is the main person. Why sack an SA and leave the commissioner when an allegation of reckless sales and of land and that's the word, racketeering took place. The racketeering is what made Eke to raise the land. Why? Because they say it's our entitlement. You don't give us, even apart from giving, they raise issue that this thing is not to be like this. So the fragmentation is dangerous. Yes, even if we say that we are no longer interested in having this reserve, or what have been the entitlement of the reserve, is the international community giving us some funds for allowing that. Apart from that, this reserve is to serve as a buffer because of the ocean salt. It was so technical. Our leaders, fathers of years ago, happen to have been more brilliant than us. But now that we have become this reckless, we've not lost it all. Why? Because God has remnants, people who will speak. Go back. A guy called Kison. A typical Akwa Ibom man is so proud of his integrity that you know when he's on. So if you want to be politically correct and maybe smile to the bank and be on the front row of government stuff, you cannot lead the governor well, we will not keep silent.
Hello, good morning. Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. We can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead, please. Oops, the network. Hello, can you hear me? Oh, sorry about that. You have to call us back. The network and most calls are just bleeping this morning. You can call us on 006-804-5443, 0902-223-1011. We can keep the call short and so that we can get more. Now, you have to look at the fact that the forest in question here holds valuable hardwood species. You're looking at African mahogany, you're looking at African septine wood, you're looking at afara and African walnut, endangered primates including Sclata guenons, Mona monkey, potty-nosed monkey, and the red-caped magpie. These treasures are rare to find anywhere else in the world. And you know that even when you come to talk about matters like turning Akwa Ibom into tourist attraction.
Absolutely.
Now, what if we rerouted this and made an entire herb out of the creek stock, such that we do not distort its natural habitat, but then it's still able to make money for us if money is the bone of contention?
Madam Speaker, I used a term, was it here yesterday or maybe somewhere else, I said when an accident is imminent, you look for the way out with less casualty. There is an accident, and we are trying to look for less casualty. And what is that? It is to ask the pertinent question. It is to call out people that should come out with documents. Ekemini Simon has agreed with what we have been saying, what we have done also in open forum. Where is the government's gazette that de-reserved the areas that people are trading with? How much have Akwa Ibom State government made so far from selling these lands? Why is there? Tolkan is there. Others are there. And, you know, Dangote had been there long ago. And I understand they have a very massive mosque somewhere along that route. I think the biggest mosque around. So, by the time the investment at Ibom Deep Sea Port commences, these powerful people, the forest reserve will not be enough. It is going to wipe it off completely. So if government cannot show us evidence that after 1998, maybe that was the last time the place was de-reserved and compensation paid, if they cannot show us the document, His Excellency should look at those that he's working with. I understand one of them was the lawyer to Mobile when that case was taken to court that AKET should not pay, compensation should not be paid to a dog group. The man was a lawyer to Mobile that stood by and said, these are the host communities and all of that. You find out who the man is. Now, the ball is in the court of His Excellency. Yorubate, Ijekuje loma balagba dobale fomo kekere. When an elder drinks, eats anyhow, you go and prostrate to a child. Yes, it is an abomination in Yoruba. And thank God, our governor is a Yoruba. But he has not prostrated. He is not drunk at all. But I said here the other day, yesterday, he is about the only governor that has complained so much about the people he works with. The evidence are all there, all over the place. He doesn't hide it. And the people themselves, they know themselves. So it's now time to look for the best hands, courageous people, where you go for a state executive council meeting and people will speak, will come with facts, not waiting to say, yes, Your Excellency, yes, Your Excellency. So when they leave there, they'll go and say, God forbid they didn't to destroy people's lives and make the governor to maybe say something that he himself will be struggling how we want to do it. We stand by our governor, His Excellency, Pastor Dr. Omo Baseno, to do the best we can for him to succeed. And in doing that, we will ask the questions that answers must be given. And some of those questions are, when was the Stubbs Creek Forest reserved? The most popular local name is Okoiya or Okaiya, whatever. Now, when was it de-reserved? When did the government take it over? And the people that are bought, companies that are bought, who are they? What is the portion sold so far? From what Dr. Wemedi Mokun roads. It says that area is about 330 square kilometers.
Yes.
So how many? What portion has been so far reserved? Then how can we protect what will remain? Then how do we reconcile our people so that Ibno won't have problem with Eket? Eket won't have problem with Ibno. Because like I said, which we also know, are you aware that the local government secretariat of Ibno, that it was Eket that gave the land? Government mediated because there was no land. So it's not that Eket are terrorists. Eket are not terrorists like that person that said they are not, at least not the class of people that are involved in this matter, because I've been privileged to work with a number of them to develop the state. And because I am God's messenger, I won't keep silent over this. We will do a letter to His Excellency, an appeal. Like the other day I said here yesterday, say, oh, there's this Ibom support, science package and that. I want to say it here, Madam Speaker, that action is on course over that matter. So there's prospect with time. We will not be hearing the governor talk about we're looking for investors, because conversation will be, or has started to get those things done. And that is the kind of thing that we do. It doesn't matter if you like me or hate me. I don't care, because I am a messenger.
Great conversation this morning. At the end of the day, every party and stakeholder involved in this must be able to meet at the table. And then we must put all our ideologies side by side. And at the end of the day, decide what is in the best interest of the people of Akwa Ibom. We must decide what's in the best interest of Akwa Ibom. This is not just about the people. It's not about the government of Akwa Ibom. It's about the entirety of Akwa Ibom State. We're looking at how this benefits us as a region, as Africa. You're talking about 310.8 square kilometers of reserved land for the future. And the future doesn't only have to do with Akwa Ibom people, okay? Let's hope that eventually the governor is able to look at this. And I'm going to leave you with one question. As the government has said that they are committed to the rule of law and they are determined, to make sure that everything is settled amicably, my question on the flip side would be, must we route the coastal highway via the creek stop? If there is another way for us to maintain the ecology that we have there for future generations, we are a coastal state, and it is necessary that we keep ourselves safe. Don't sell the future when it can be protected, okay? But our time is absolutely up this morning. I wish we could take some more conversation, but like one parliamentarian said this morning, the conversation around weekend Fubara seems to be overwhelming us. He said some of us don't even want to talk about it. So unfortunately, the time didn't give us the time, but I want to say thank you so much to Citizen Matthew O'Connor, President of Open Forum, of course, dedicating time to have conversations like this. Just packets, things you really need to know. Apart from the politics of things, there is the ecological conversation to the quick stop conversation that we must all be aware of. Read a little bit more so that your conversations will be, covered with wisdom. All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Aquano. Thank you, parliamentarian, for your calls, your conversation. And as I can remember, we would always say, remember that in all these things there is a God factor. Good morning, Aquano. Do you have a very splendid weekend?